For our top international story this hour, we look to the UK, which a new report alleges could be filled with Russian spies. The neoconservative Henry Jackson Society think tank released a report this week which claims London may be home to up to 75,000 Russian informants. Considering there's only an estimated 150,000 Russians in the British capital, that's equal to about half of the Russian immigrant population. How did Henry Jackson arrive at such a massive number? Only through truly scientific methods, of course. According to the report's author, Dr. Andrew Foxhall, his research consisted of, quote, off-the-record conversations with 16 people currently or previously affiliated with, quote, those who are consequential to Russian affairs. With Russian spying on the UK in question, we're joined now by former UK MP, Mr. George Galloway. All right, George, what about this report? Do you get the sense that you're just surrounded by British spies over there in London?
I had to fight my way through the crowds of Russian spies. 75,000 in London alone. That's exactly the number of Uber cars on the streets of London. And as they have brought the city into gridlock, you can literally infer that there's a Russian on every corner, on every street. You can tell they've got snow on their boots. And, moreover, they're all spying for the Kremlin. Just what they would have to spy on and who in the very scantily staffed Russian embassy these days is actually controlling these spies is, of course, a moot point. It would be laughable if it wasn't so utterly racist. Imagine if somebody claimed that half of any other group of people was a spy for their home country. It would be rightly denounced as paranoia and as racist nonsense. But Russophobia has taken a real grip here in Britain and to some extent in other places.
You describe this report as racist. Well, the Henry Jackson Society is no stranger to bigoted opinions. It's known for pushing Islamophobia in the UK and beyond. Its director even once gave a speech in which he declared, quote, conditions for Muslims in Europe must be made harder across the board. What exactly is this think tank, the Henry Jackson Society, George?
Well, the clue is in the name. Henry Jackson himself was a very right-wing and very anti-Russian and very pro-Israel congressman back in the day. You need to be my age to remember him, but he was always popping up with new demands for war and weapons. And they called themselves after him for a reason. And they're, of course, reliable on the Russian front, but also on the Israel front. They have just this day appointed as their deputy head the former assistant to the president of Israel. So your viewers probably already get the picture.
Well, last year it was revealed the Japanese embassy funded the think tank to produce anti-China propaganda. Do we know who else funds this institution or why it would be so dedicated to stoking anti-Russia sentiment that it would release this survey? I mean, what's the goal here?
Well, it's a who's who of all the people you'd imagine. The Gatestone Institute from your own country, the Rothschild Foundation, and an alphabet soup of the funders and supporters of the Israel lobby in Britain. I mean, this is the purest of the pure neocon fanatic. But the real problem is they seem to have seized control of the Times newspaper, once the greatest newspaper in the world, journal of record, no less, as it was called. But the Times has now become a fully fledged neocon cell rather than a newspaper. And it has led the way in the attacks on RT, on daily attacks on Russia. It has become almost a wholly owned subsidiary of the Henry Jackson Society. Scarcely a day goes by without them appearing in one bogus survey or another, making their news. I don't know why Mr. Murdoch puts up with it, really.
Do you believe any of these reports have an impact on the psyche of the British population? Do they believe these sort of anti-Russia reports?
Up to a point, less though than before, because one of the things about always crying wolf is that people grow tired of it and cease to pay attention. And if you are being treated to this kind of nonsense, just ponder that. Half of all Russians are spies. That's 75,000 in London alone. The idea that we've got that many secrets we need 75,000 Russians to spy on is plainly absurd to most British people.
Well, stay safe out there in London with all the spies around. We'll catch up with you next time, former UK MP George Galloway.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.